So my name is Teonna Cooksey. I graduated in 2019 and I am currently a grad student at Columbia University. So I started out majoring in architecture and I took a Africology course just as an elective. And once I took that course, I realized that I needed to know more about that because that was the first time that I had experienced any type of curriculum that was centered around Blackness. And so I continued to take the classes, and the class that really got me to decide to minor in it was the psychological effects of racism. So after I took that class, it was kind of like, yeah, I need to definitely lock this in. So like I said, I majored in architecture. So throughout the architectural curriculum, I picked up Africology. So then I minored in that, and then I also got a certificate in urban planning, and it was mostly because of the lack of conversation or awareness of anything outside of aesthetic and architecture. So it's created opportunities for me to think about my place and position in architecture, but it hasn't been helpful in terms of my portfolio when I take it to an architectural firm. It's based around equity. It's based around inclusion and community development, and that's not exactly what architecture is. So it's been a lot of challenges that went along with focusing on that and maintaining like, this is what I care about and I'm not going to compromise that. But it's also helped me be like, okay, well, if I can't get into these spaces, then I'll create my own. So that's another thing that it kind of helps me push me out of the mindset like, this is the one way that I need to do this. So working as a fellow has been nice because it's virtual, but it's based in Racine. So I was able to do like community organizing from a distance, and that was a challenge. So basically what we want to do is figure out how we can connect the government to community organizations that focus on frontline communities, because there was a huge disconnect. And so the challenge with that is getting people to actually trust what we're doing is valid because of the disconnect that existed, and it was a reason for that. So like going into a project like, okay, we're going to build these resilience hubs, we're going to get some feedback to figure out what programming is, it's going to be a collaborative effort, and then understanding like nobody is going to sign up for this, nobody is going to communicate with us because they don't trust it. So we had to figure out ways to first put ourselves out there and be really transparent about the process and what this is before we can even think about creating programming. You should definitely do it. I think that it'll make you think about the world in a different way. It'll give you a more unique perspective. And I will say, when I first started to take the class that I told you about, the psychological effects of racism, I was like way more aware of my surroundings after that, because it was like I had to disconnect what I was reading with like, okay, did they do this because of this? Like it made me think about how people interact with each other differently. But I think that continuing to educate myself and continuing to expand my my kind of like mindset on like what I read, who I read, stuff like that, it really helps me engage in different conversations, not just with Black people, but other groups, minority groups, or just people in general, because you have that idea that the world is so much bigger than what people will like put in front of you. And so like finding ways, like seeking out opportunities to learn something else is what this major will kind of force you into doing. One of the things, I was in a lot of the programs, West Camp Scholars, Ronald McNair, and I think that the advisors will tell students to reach out to faculty. It's a part of our assignments, but just to get to know people. And I would say that you should definitely go to the office of the people who are teaching you this information and get connected to them on a more personal level, because you want to maintain connections, you want to maintain a network. So once you do graduate, you have somebody that could like lead you into opportunities. So I would say definitely connect yourself to people.